Hey folks, Russ Bailey here. It's time for another BrushPile Fishing, the video podcast. I'm with my good friend Mark Ridl, or as I refer to him as Angel on the Rockford Files.
Yeah.
Mark, how you doing?
You know I'm Rockford and you're Angel. Nobody drives like I can drive. You know that.
Folks, you know it's sad when Mark and me call each other to talk about what was on the Rockford Files, but that's happened a couple times, or Kojak. But
Yeah.
anyways, Mark's going to tell us what's new from Cornfield Fishing Gear. Stay tuned. We'll be right back with BrushPile Fishing. Folks, welcome back. As you can see in the background, we're doing another video podcast from beautiful Dale Hollow. It's been beautiful weather down here, warm. It was freezing in Ohio when we left, so and man, it's good to get here.
Yeah, it was good. I made the long way around. I went to Decatur, Alabama yesterday to the Sea Arc Owners Invitational. It was 92 down there yesterday. It was nice.
That's a little bit too warm.
And then got up this morning and watched them launch the boats, and then come up here to hang out with you guys. And I love this place. This is a really good place.
It's awesome, and
I like it here. So
I didn't think we were going to get you down here.
I didn't either. Yeah.
So.
So we were able to make it work. So a little bit of driving, but we're here.
I'll tell you what, Mark. I have not been to the shop for a while, and you've come out with several new products. And just if you would tell the folks about what's going on down there.
It's changed a bunch since you've been there last. We got
time out. Do they still have the strawberry cake?
Yeah,
It's a good then.
We've yeah, it's more relevant anymore than it used to be. We've turned it on to some other neighbors, and every time we have a get together, somebody brings a strawberry cake. So man, I cannot lose weight.
You know
with
what?
That dang thing.
Folks, we're talking about. There's a place now. What's that called?
It's gosh, you put me on the spot. Draftonville, Kentucky, Parcells Bakery. Holy cow!
Okay, they're not a sponsor of my show, but I'm telling you what. The first time I ever had that strawberry cake, I was on a visit down at Mark's place. And folks, I'm telling you what, it is unbelievable. One bite probably has 6,000 calories.
At least.
But oh my gosh, it's good. So again, there's your free shout out for that bakery.
Yeah.
So, but anyways, what's going on down there?
Well, since you've been there, you know, when I left Illinois and moved to Kentucky, I had 6 CNC machines and a few things we got it going. We have 10 CNC machines now. It's been 6 years. We've grown that much. We got 10 employees. Well, Paul and I and 8 other people. Wow. We got 3 people. Well, Paula and another girl, Ashley, in shipping. And we got a young guy that just graduated high school come in, and he helps in shipping, or he'll help run a machine, or he'll help do this or whatever. And we've got a production manager now. I couldn't do it all anymore, so I had to hire a production manager. And so I'm still trying to draw and do new stuff. We got some new things coming. We've actually made a new base that you can take all the mounts we got prior to the telescoping mount. The telescoping mount has a square base with a big silver knob on it. All right. So we're going to use that base with the square knob, or the big silver knob and the square base, because it's a clamp. We're making a piece that'll slide into that, and then all of our other mounts will fit on top of it, so you'll be able to spin them 360 degrees. Everybody's wanting, I need to turn it, you know, so we figured out how to do that. You know, try to come up with all this stuff for mounting that forward-facing sonar. I can't call it live scope anymore. Everybody's got one. So the forward-facing sonar. So, you know, we started out, we had the cable management one, the cable saver for live view. So we done that. Well, then we done the first turret when we went to Hot Springs to the first Crappie Expo. We had the first motorized remote control, you know, hand, foot operated, all that turret. So we could do it that way. And then, so we can take the cable management, mount it directly to the trolling motor for the guys that are chasing one around. Now we can get it off the trolling motor and run it independently. Then we done one that on a pole. There's a bunch of guys doing a pole, so we needed to add that in our lineup. So we had done a pole. We made it a little bit different, a little bit heavier duty. It'll do a little bit more. I got some offshore guys using it because it's so sturdy. They really liked it. So
no kidding.
So it's down in the Gulf, so that was kind of cool. So now we come up with another one that I'm calling the cable drive for right now. I don't know if that's going to be the full name on it or not, but I can mount a pole on the trolling motor just like everything else we're doing, and it's got a cable that comes up to a knob that's right next to your unit, so you can sit there and turn the knob and look at your unit and see that. You know how when you get it dead on that brush pile and it just pops out on you, you can finally tune this thing in and put it right on it. Those are this close to production. We made a few because we'll always make a couple and see how it works and make some changes. Then I like to run 30. That kind of gives us a little bit of times on how long it takes to make each individual part, so we can figure out how to price it. Also, when we get those, start to put them together, we can see what fits and what doesn't fit correctly, so we can make adjustments to blueprints and then before we make a production run. So we made our 30 parts, and I put a couple of them together, and we've got so daggone busy with back orders. Everybody thinks we're Amazon, you know, I ordered today and I didn't get my thing. Well, you know, we send some things out. I've had to outsource welding because we don't have time, or the place anymore. We don't have room. The shop's completely full. Remember how big that building was when you came in? It's full.
Well,
I'm looking at adding on the building again because there's not enough room.
And it's funny you say that, because I did a podcast earlier with Matt Foster, and we were talking, and I told him, I said, Matt, I said, me and Mark's good friends now, and I said, I've told him this, and I said, but I can remember Marcus telling me that Cornfield, back then it was Cornfield Crappie,
right,
wanted to be a partnership with us. And I said, what is that? And because that name is not very common.
Right.
Okay, so I looked it up. And then, you know, Marcus said we were going to go down to your shop and get our boat rigged and stuff. And I don't know why, but I just kept thinking, we're going down there, and this is going to be a guy making 1 unit a week in his garage.
Yep.
And I get there, and I'm like, holy cow. And now I can't believe that building's full.
Well, we have people come in just because they've seen the YouTube videos and stuff, and they want to come and get. Can we come and buy? Yeah, you can come in. We may, if we do another expansion, we're going to go out the back, where you come in with your boat, and because we need more room for parts and all that whole back room where my boat used to sit, where we filmed and everything, it's all shelving now. It's completely full. We're running out of room, and so we might do a storefront or something. If we decide to make that, and maybe another year or so, if we think we need to add on a whole bunch more space, we may do like a counter and a storefront and everything in there. And I'm retiring something new here too. I'm retiring old Orange, the old boat.
No, you're not.
Well, she's broke down. You know, it was just an old little aluminum John boat I bought off some kid that was 16 years old. He was selling his boat and his trailer because he's going to buy a car. And his dad made him. He says, hey, you know, you're going to buy a car. That's what we got to do. So it had a 4-horsepower Mercury motor on it, a trailer, and that 14-foot John boat. Well, I gave the motor to a friend of mine. No, I gave the trailer to some other kid that come in and needed a trailer for a boat, and I didn't need it, so I gave it to that kid. And I traded the motor to my electrician buddy for some work or something. He was going to put it on a boat for his duck pond or something, so whatever. So then I cut that boat down and made it. We've hauled it all over. It's beat all to pieces. It's getting beat to death in the trailer. I actually built a sling inside the trailer, and I got to crawl under the boat and ratchet and raise it up off the floor because it's just pounding. It's so heavy with all those trolling motors and everything on it. So we've partnered up with Sea Arc on some stuff. We're doing that new flex boat they come out with. That thing's, it's unreal. And we're making all the mounts for it. We're making mounts for their other boats, and they're hooking us up with all their dealers to come to us to look at what we can do we're going to get it down to each individual model of boat. We can fix it all up. So Steve and the team at Sea Arc decided that I needed a better show boat, and they built me a Sea Arc. It is a real 100,000 stick. You know how Sea Arc's built, 100,000. It's the real thing. I mean,
and the little boat he's talking about, if you've been to any of our winter shows, like in Columbus or Indianapolis, Mark's got that little boat he totes around with all his products rigged up, so you can see what it's going to look like. And I think the thing that I like about you having that at the shows, it's one thing for you to watch BrushPile Fishing or read something on the Crappie blog about how sturdy your stuff is, but when you can go to one of these shows in the winter and it's right there and they can see how sturdy
it was. You know, I went to a few shows years ago in the beginning, and it was so hard to explain to somebody how that mounted to a trolling motor, or how that done this or how that done this. So then now
it's all there. They can see it.
Yeah. So next year we're gonna hit the show scene with a new, a little bit longer. We had to go. We had so much stuff. We need another 2 foot.
Man. You got it rough. What other new products you looking at this year? I know the I don't know what you're calling it, the rod holder where you can put your rod.
Oh yeah, we got a little and that was David Jones.
Okay.
And David Jones and Steve Coleman at 2 different times. They're like, man, we need something. So basically, you just take the knob off that your unit goes in your gimbal mount, and we got a little L-shaped bracket that comes off that, and you put that knob back on, and it's just a fork that sticks up. And David needed that, so if he was dealing with a customer or he had to get another bait or a crappie nibble, you know, he's going to put, he's changing crappie magnet baits or put, you know, one of those, and or sticking one in the eye hole, you know, he needed to put his pole somewhere. You know, I don't know about you, but I don't like putting stuff on the floor then trying to have to reach back down there and pick it up.
Yep.
So just lean it up against your unit. It's not, because he was putting on the unit, and then stuff, you know, water and stuff's getting on the screen and all that. Yeah, so we've done that. And then one of the guys that Jake that I hired, that's my production manager, he's got a source to get all this stuff done. And we also have a cup holder that goes on the side there. And we have cup holders that goes on the Millennium chairs. We're just trying to make a little bit of everything for everybody, you know. It's just.
Well, and that's one of the things, because I've talked about your company and you in general with some different buddies across the country and stuff, and I tell them the one thing is, I said, Mark's got, you know, the best products on the market, but I said, he's never satisfied. You're always thinking about something else to
well,
build.
we listen to what people have to say, and if there's a problem with something, you know, there's always somebody saying, oh, this don't work right. Well, you know, we've sold 1,000 of them and we know they work. But if I get 2 or 3 people coming back with the same kind of, roughly the same idea, we might ought to look at that and see, you know, because we're getting our ideas and our feedback from the fishermen, and we encourage that. I need to know what's good and what's not, or what needs to be changed, or.
Yeah, and when you're getting suggestions from guys like Steve Coleman or Davy Jones, these are guys that spend every single day on the water, guiding, tournament fishing, or whatever. Those are pretty good guys. You might want to listen to what they got to say.
That's what I'm saying. And so back to the cable thing. So we're working on. We got our 30 pieces put together, but we've just got so busy that I've been out on the floor putting the hand scope, we call it, and the over the side mount. I mean, it's insane trying to keep them put together and on the shelf and boxed up, because the girls really like to have everything in a box on the shelf. So when they get an order, all they have to do is pull it and ship it. Because it takes so much time.
Make it easy.
If you're behind, then we got to build them before we can box them, before we can pull them, before we can ship it. It takes too long. So we're trying really hard to stay ahead on the boxes. And then one of the machines I bought last year, just something I wish I'd have done a long time ago. And this is going to sound crazy, a CNC saw.
Really?
So we're cutting bar stock up.
Okay.
So my old saw, you'd set your stop and you'd push your bar up against the stop, and then you'd raise it, you'd raise it up by hand and you let it cut, then you'd raise it up by hand and you'd move it. This one, it's got a control on it. You program it, so I need something 8 3/8, so you punch in 8 3/8. You do your math, because we're using a 12-foot bar. It's going to tell you how many pieces you're going to get out of a 12-foot bar. You tell it to cut that many times, and it cuts until it's out of material. So like the plates that we put on our mounts, we usually run about 400 at a time. When we set up a machine to run them, we make 400 plates at a time. So it was taking us in the old saw 3.5 hours to cut 400 pieces. So we get the new saw out. I'm putting 10 bars in, 12 foot long. Cutting, I'm getting I think I'm getting 14 out of each bar. So I'm getting 140 out of each set, and it took an hour and a half to cut 400 pieces. I wish I'd have done that a long time ago. That's a time saver.
So let me ask you this, Mark. How did you start this company? What made you think I'm going to start making some brackets?
I didn't have a clue what I was doing. I've been guided by the good Lord above, with the right people put in my position or in my path at the right time. I told you, I met Terry Poole, a friend of mine at Kentucky Lake. Yeah. And he invited me to come down to Crappie.com. I met Dean McCoy. I didn't know none of those guys. So I met Dean, and my brother and I went down there to help Terry cook. And Dean's wanting to know we're having a little fun tournament on Saturday, and Dean was wanting to know if we was fishing that tournament. Just met him, just pulled the camper in, just got talking to these fellas, you know. So no, we don't have a boat. We're just come down, and he's, well, so I was going to fish with my buddy here, but he said, I'll tell you what, I'll go home and get my boat, and you can fish with me, and your brother can fish with my buddy. Now that's Southern hospitality there.
Yep.
That was amazing. And then I got to hanging out with, going back to Kentucky more often, vacations or weekends or what have you, or holidays or what have you, fishing with those guys. And then I had to have a boat. It had been a long time since I had a boat. My brother and I had the orange boat, remember the old narrow 14-foot flat bottom John boats, and we fished the strip mines up around Danville, Illinois, and they were electric motor only. But you know what the secret was? They didn't tell you how many electric motors you could have. We had 2 trolling motors on it, one in the front, one in the back. We could skate across one of those little ponds. 2 12-volt trolling motors just rocking across one of them little strip mines. Hey, we had a ball fishing that stuff. So then I decided I was going to get a boat, and then I needed something or whatever, and I just made what I needed. Well, then Dean wanted something, as I made it for him, and Terry wanted something, and the next thing you know, we're going to make a website, and then we come up with this corny name because I was in the middle of cornfields making crappie gear. Yeah.
People know it now.
I always say if I know he's going to have done this, I'd had a better name. Here we are.
You know what? It sets you apart. It's awesome. But
so it's just, and then meeting this person and that person, and and you and the BrushPile team, and then getting connected with the B&M family and the Crappie Magnet fellas, and
2 of the best.
You know who one of that? I mean, I'd have never you would have never told me this ever in my life, that one of my pro staff members, David Jones, one of the best guys in the business.
Yep.
I've told many people if I had 10 pro staff guys like David Jones, you wouldn't need any more.
Yep.
He's unbelievable. Steve Coleman.
Not too shabby.
Yeah, and it blows my mind that some people don't know who Caps and Coleman are. I mean, they're not really into the crappie world. I mean, I know those guys for a long time. They're amazing, and what they were able to do long before we have what the electronics we have now. Those guys, they put the time in. They were awesome. But to have guys like that on my pro team, and now a guy we just picked up. I don't know if you heard of this guy. He's kind of a short fella, got a little white goatee. Used to be on a TV show. John Godwin.
I kind of heard of that guy.
If you would have told me that John Godwin would be on my team as a pro staff member helping promote my product, I say you're crazy.
John got his popularity when he became a guest on BrushPile.
Yeah, that's probably what it was. Yeah, that's what it was.
I'll tell you what, bud.
Yeah, I think it's going to rain. It's going to rain.
We're going to cut this podcast. I hope you enjoyed it. Check out this commercial for the BrushPile app. Get it on your phone. We're getting out of this rain.
I got it. It's a good app. Get it.
The new BrushPile Fishing Show companion app will change the way you watch a show, but more importantly, it will change the way you educate yourself on crappie fishing. This is so much more than just an app. It will be your go-to source for weather, BrushPile fishing shows, crappie fishing tips, and your own handheld logbook. There will also be contact information for guides from past episodes, special offers from our sponsors, and tips that range from simple to advanced. Download the new BrushPile Fishing Companion app. It's free for Android and Apple users. It's everything a crappie angler needs. Make sure you check that out. Hey, hope you enjoyed it, brother.
All right, thank you.
Always good to see you, Mark.
You too.
Folks, I hope you enjoyed today's podcast. Stay tuned. We'll always be back with another one on BrushPile Fishing.